Welcome to the Explainer. This is where we break down really big topics into simple, clear frameworks. Today, we're cracking open the manager's playbook to really get at the core skills you need to lead people and, actually drive performance. So what does it really take? That's the big question, right? And listen, it's not some single magic bullet. It's more like a playbook, a collection of skills that brilliantly connects your people, your processes, and your performance. So let's open it up and walk through the essential plays every great manager has to master. All right, first up, and this is the foundation for everything else, the human element. Because let's be totally honest, you can't lead anyone if you don't get what makes them tick. Okay, so this is where we get a little more scientific. It's called organizational behavior, or OB for short. Think of it as the science of people at work. It's what helps us move beyond just a gut feeling and gives us a real framework to understand and even predict why people do what they do inside an organization. Now, this is absolutely crucial. Your entire management style, whether you know it or not, is built on your core assumptions about people. Do you lean towards theory X, believing that people kind of have to be pushed and controlled to get anything done? Or are you more of a theory Y manager who fundamentally trusts that people are naturally motivated? This isn't just academic. It shapes every single conversation, every project, every single thing you do with your team. Oh, this is a total game changer for so many managers. What Hertzberg's theory tells us is that stuff like salary and good working conditions, the hygiene factors, they don't actually motivate people. All they do is stop people from being dissatisfied. Real, genuine motivation, that comes from the other side. Recognition, growth, a sense of achievement. So fixing the hygiene stuff just stops people from hating their job. It doesn't make them love it. And that is a huge distinction. Okay, so you've got a handle on what makes individuals tick. The next play in the book is all about assembling the A team. This is where we go from understanding one person's talent to creating a team that achieves something amazing together. And that brings us to Human Resource Management, or HRM. Now, let's be super clear. This is not just about paperwork and policies. Great HRM is the strategic engine that designs and manages the entire employee journey, from the moment they first apply to their very last day. And this right here is the engine of HRM in action, the talent management cycle. It's not something you just do once and forget. No way. It's a constant loop of planning for who you're going to need, finding and hiring the best people, managing how they perform, helping them grow their careers, and of course, paying them fairly. A healthy company keeps this cycle spinning all the time. And just look at how we find that talent today. I mean, the days of just relying on a simple interview are long gone. Modern hiring techniques are all about seeing a candidate in action. Things like group discussions, business games, situational tests. These don't just ask you what you would do, they actually show what you can do. And that's a much, much better way to predict how someone will perform on the job. All right, you understand people and you've built your A team. Now for the third play, leadership in action. This is all about guiding that team, especially when the waters get a little choppy and things get tough. And this grid, it's genius. It perfectly illustrates the central tension of leadership. The Blake-Mouton grid maps out your style based on two things: how much you care about people versus how much you care about getting stuff done. You could be a country club manager who's super nice but doesn't get results, or a task manager who hits every target but burns out the team. The sweet spot, the goal for every leader, is that top right corner, team management. That's where you get high performance and high morale. They're not mutually exclusive. Right, and this is the real test, isn't it? Managing the day-to-day, that's one thing. But the biggest test of a leader is how you navigate change. How do you get your team from the old way of doing things to a new way without everything falling apart? Well, a guy named Kurt Lewin gave us this incredibly simple but powerful model. First, you unfreeze the old way by getting everyone to see why a change is needed. Then you make the actual change. But, and this is the part people always forget, you can't stop there. The final critical step is to refreed the new way of doing things so it becomes the new normal and people don't just slide back into their old habits. So for our final play, we're going to shift gears a bit, because to know if your team is actually winning and to make smart decisions, you have to speak the language of business. And that language is accounting. This simple little equation is the absolute bedrock of all accounting. It's the balance sheet equation. Assets equal liabilities plus equity. Think of it like a scale that has to be perfectly balanced at all times. On one side, you've got assets, all the stuff the business owns. And on the other, you have liabilities and equity, which is basically everyone who has a claim on that stuff. It must always balance.
And knowing the difference here is so important for any manager. A capital expenditure, like buying a whole new factory, is a long-term investment. It's going to provide value for years and years. But a revenue expenditure, like paying that factory's electricity bill, that's just a short-term cost of doing business right now. One builds the future, the other pays for today.
This shows two totally different ways to think about costs. Cost control is all about discipline. It's about sticking to the budget you've been given. But cost reduction, that's about innovation. It's about challenging the budget itself and finding a fundamentally cheaper, smarter, or more efficient way to get something done. And you know what? Great managers do both. So, we've talked people, teams, leadership, and numbers. But what's the ultimate goal here? What is all this for? Well, the goalposts have actually moved over time. The old school view was pretty simple: profit maximization. Make as much money as you possibly can this quarter, this year. The modern, more sophisticated view is wealth maximization. And that isn't just about this year's profit. It's about building sustainable, long-term value for the entire company and for everyone who has a stake in it. And there you have it, the core plays from the manager's playbook. Look, understanding these ideas is the first step for sure. But the real art of management isn't just knowing the plays, it's having the wisdom to know exactly which one to call and when.